candidates. If we can have you guys come forward. We're going to have to share a mic. So,
Hi, Joni.
How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, we'll get you that.
Well, I looked this morning before I left home to speak. No big deal. I was just afraid that I was already hostage. You could think about what this is a right.
does this saying sound any better if I'm on this side? Sounds terrible. How about now? Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to have to. Okay, we've got several questions from four county commissioners rather. So, Allie, if you want to start, or you can start the 3-minute intro, and then we'll start with questions.
Hi, my name is Alison Hamilton. I'm running for District 2 Commissioner. My family homesteaded here in 1858, so I've been a resident of Linn County for quite a few years. Currently work for the state of Kansas at the Historical Society under Cultural Resources. I'm here tonight because, as many of you know, this past year has been very stressful for where I'm living. Solar farms, 8,000 acres of solar farms have been talked about for many months about surrounding my home. So to be honest with you, that's what got me really involved in this direction and where I'm going as a commissioner. I do not want anyone to have to go through what my family may go through and other people that live in our area. This is directly affecting people in the rural community, so just keep that in mind. You know I do represent the cities as well, and I do believe in property rights. But when Linn County decided to be zoned, that's when they decided that they were going to take away property rights at that moment. I'd look for you guys to support me in that direction as well. And if you guys have any questions, I guess that's it.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to introduce myself for the ones of you that don't know me. I'm Jim Johnson. I'm the current Commissioner of District 3. And I tell you what, I've lived my whole life here in Linn County except for 3 years. I was raised right out here 2 miles southwest of town on a dairy farm and a livestock farm, or a row crop farm. I was raised with Christian conservative values, and I'll tell you what, I've tried not to falter from that too far. And my family, my wife's sitting right back there. My wife and I have been married 42 years. Spent all but 3 of it right here in this county. And we was fortunate enough we got to raise our boys. We have 2 boys, and we're very fortunate that they live within 7 miles of us, and they each have their own business in Linn County. And I'm glad of that they're able to stay here in the county. And my career, I worked for Phillips Pipeline for 34 years. And I spent 22 years of that in operations, working shift work, taking care of millions of dollars of product to ship. I mean, we was responsible for it, 2 guys on shift, taking care of 5 pipelines. And then I went into the maintenance part of it, dealing with contractors on a daily basis. That we was on the pipeline right away, dealing with people crossing our lines, doing the work for us. So I've been involved with a lot of people throughout my career. And as far as being a commissioner, I feel the accomplishments that we've had the last 4 years, is we just dealt for a bridge on the northern end of this county that's been talked about for a long time. And it started out that it was going to cost us $180,000, and it had gotten up to, our part was $439 plus 20% of all change orders. And we stood our ground on this deal, and ended up that came back and we got it done for $180,000 of your tax money. You know, it's, I feel that was a $250,000 savings to this county, you know, and we've, the landfill, we've changed where we're dumping the landfill now, and we're looking into a tipping floor to where now we haul 3 to 8 ton to the landfill on these trucks. When we take our dumpsters, from 3 to 8 ton goes to Iowa or to Garland. And we're looking at a tipping floor to where we can haul 24 ton at a time. It's going to take a little money, I mean, quite a bit of money, but we have some ARPA money that we're going to spend that we've got given to us to build this floor to where it'll save us money on down the road, is the way I feel about it. And, you know, we talk grant money a lot. We're in a deal right now. Okay. We're in a deal right now with grant money with the airport. We've got Pappy lights laying in our shop right down here that we gave to us as far as money for grant money, and we never installed them. And we just, that to me is a waste of our taxpayer money. And, I thank you.
Evening, folks. I'm Rod Earnest, one of the Earnest family. We've been here since 1860 and lived in this community and this county, raised our kids, raising our grandkids, and I decided that I'd run for commissioner, District 2. Pretty upset about taxes increasing. The roads, our services are not what they used to be, and our taxes continue to go up. And so that's the main reasons I ran. My background is in construction. I worked in the construction field of these generating stations for 40 years. The last 20 I was superintendent. Took care of all the maintenance for all the plants in the Kansas City Power and Light system. I would have employees of well in excess of 300 and budgets that we had to live by. We had firm price jobs, and those firm price jobs, we didn't have a kitty or somebody to go talk to. We had to live within them budgets or you lost money. And we brought those jobs. Everyone brought them in, made money for the companies, and took care, like I say, the maintenance for all these plants. There would be liquidated damages on most of my jobs that I had. And if you went over one day, you could lose up to $50,000 in liquidated damages. 2 days, $100,000. So I've dealt with pressure on jobs and know how to save money and make our jobs come in on budget. So anyway, that's all I can say.
Hello everyone, my name is Rich Morrell. I'm running for the County Commissioner position in District 3. I, along with many up here at this panel, have deep roots in Linn County. My dad and mom ran a dairy farm halfway between Blue Mountain and Mound City, and that's where I grew up. I'm a 5th generation Linn County farm owner and landowner and farmer. My great-grandfather Jackson bought some land just south of where the Kreutzer Lake is today, and we've owned property in that area for ever since, and I own the home place that I grew up in. In fact, it's only about 1.5 miles from where Jim's house is. One of my grandfather's best friends was Pat Sisson, who used to live in that house. So, Jim, I've been in that house a few times. So, I got interested in running for commissioner when I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission. For the first couple of years, I was just a member. For the second 2 years, years 3 and 4, I was vice chair of that group. and then in the last 2 years, I've been chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. During the first part of my tenure, back in 2018, I was named to the Linn County Future Planning Committee, and that's a committee that's commissioned by the state to set out the plan for the next 20 years for Linn County. That was a very educational experience for me, and really put a lot of things into perspective for me. Linn County is a beautiful county. When my wife and I were courting, I told her, I said, I have every intention to move back to Linn County when I retire, so if that's not in your plans, this probably isn't going to work. Well, Carrie grew up about 5 miles from where I did, and that was just fine with her. And so upon retirement, we moved back to Linn County and resided on Sugar Valley Lake. The big issue for me, and I've attended almost all the commission meetings, is I think we're really, we're a team. Linn County, my analogy is we've got a team here at Linn County without a head coach. There's nobody that's calling the shots that says the buck stops with me. One of the major recommendations that came out of that Future Planning Committee was to hire a county administrator. And we just need a head coach for the county that we're in. And putting in a county administrator, I think, would do that. It's a liaison between the commissioners who set the policy and the county commissioner who would feet on the ground, 40 to 60 hours a week, be there ready to tackle any problem that may come. Having the commissioners try to run the county in a Monday morning 3-hour meeting is just not working.
Good evening. Thank you, Jackie, for having this tonight, and the Republican and Democrat parties as well. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you very much. If I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, my name is Vicki Leonard, and I came from very humble beginnings. I grew up in southern Missouri in Ozark County, lived there until I was a teenager when my family moved to Pleasanton. I've been a 51-year resident of Pleasanton, and I have spent most of that 51 years in community service as a public service in one way or the other. I have served on the USD 344 school board. I have served for CCAP out of Girard. I've served on the Mid-American Nutrition Agency of Aging, 6th Judicial District, and the Juvenile Detention Board in Girard, and probably a few others that I'm not thinking of. But I served on those boards for our county because I felt that it was important to bring those resources to our county, such as CCAP offering weatherization and the LEAP program and Head Start programs. Serving on those boards gives you the knowledge of what resources can be provided to our county. In 2008, I ran for commissioner, and I had the honor and the privilege of serving as your first female elected commissioner in the history of Linn County. I didn't take that lightly. I was very humbled. I was very appreciative that the people trusted me to put me in that position, and I wanted to do the very best job that I could. One of my accomplishments was that I began working on the Linn County Justice Center my first year. I met with the architect and tried to study ways that we could afford a new justice center. Our farm out fees were eating us alive. Our taxes were going up, and that burden was very large on the taxpayers. I sat on the commission with Herb Pemberton, and Herb and I put the first SRO program in place. We felt that our children deserved that safety and security. We worked hard to get that in place, and we were the only 2 commissioners that voted for it. When the pipeline came through, we were able to take the revenue from that, which was $1.9 million, when it came through and we paid off all of the county
Hi,
debt.
Vicki.
Okay. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and I thank you.
All right, thank you all. We have a bunch of questions, and I'm going to try to pile some of them into the same categories, but we've got some very good and some very tough questions for you guys. So, first one, I think we'll just jump right into this one. To all county commissions, how are you going to represent your constituents that do not agree with your strong personal opinion or platform on no solar farms, as there are a large number of people in Linn County who do want the solar farms but don't like the confrontation they get? Ellie, you can start, and then next question, Jim, you can start.
Yes, I have a strong opinion on it. I think it directly affects where I'm living. I think that plays a huge part in it, but I also don't believe in all of the ways that it's coming here. So if you look at who's behind it, I think a lot of the things that really got to us at the end of the day was that we didn't trust the county officials that were in place to take care of the people that it was going to surround. They were not prepared to answer the tough questions that we had or lawyers had, but to specifically answer what the question was, how will I deal with constituents? I mean, everyone has their own opinion. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are electing me because I believe so strongly in that. And then also I think there's going to be possibly other people that feel strongly the other way about it. I think if you're going to get one or the other, I will always treat people with respect. I'll always be open to listening to your opinions on that and private property rights. But where I stand on solar in Linn County is I do not agree with it.
The way I feel about the solar deal is, which I voted on the 8,000 acres, because it came to us from the planning and zoning, and I did vote on it. And then there was a group that came in to us later and said they did not get the information. And I was the one that said, okay, let's send it back to planning and zoning and see what they think with this information that these people are giving us that I'm not knowing. That was just, I wanted to see what planning and zoning thought by sending it back to them with this group that was anti-solar. And then it's worked its way through to where we're at today. And the people not coming to us, my phone, I carry my phone from the time I get up in the morning till I go to bed. And I'll even get up and answer it if it's at midnight. If it rings, it leaves there to where I can hear it. And the way I feel is, if you don't want to talk, you can call me and talk to me about it. Anybody can call me and talk to me about anything. I get calls from people out of my district over a lot of issues. And that doesn't bother me because that's what I'm here for. I didn't take this because I needed another job or I needed the money. I did not take it for either one of those reasons. But I'm here for the people to call me if they want to talk. And just because you don't want to come into a group to talk, I respect that. But you can call me and we can talk one-on-one. And then, out of this whole deal, I haven't had very many people call me and tell me they're pro-solar. That's what I feel.
Well, on the industrial solar, I'm not for that. Residential solar, sure. I think every Johnson County house, every building, every hospital, everything up there in Kansas City, if it's that good, then they need to put them on their houses and in their yards. And every person in Kansas City, every one of these cities, they ought to have them on their hospitals if they're so good, instead of having generators, but they're not. And you're talking about 8,000 acres. That's 12 square miles. That's 2% of this county's property. That's one heck of an area to put a bunch of panels on. Put them out in the desert, where, and if somebody does come in and hopefully they don't, but they get that pushed through. And you need to hold retention money as a county against this company, so when it goes down the tubes, which it will after the subsidies, because the only reason they're building the subsidies, they're going to get money, this company is from these subsidies. When the subsidies end after about 10 years or so, and then they'll sell them to a foreign country. Empire Electric sold to Canada, but they'll sell it to a foreign country, or if it comes in and gets damaged beyond repair, they're going to walk away from it. But you better hold retention money on these people to where you can take and get rid of it and put it back to where it belongs, like it is. Just like our coal companies do. They hold money on them coal companies to where when they're done, they're going to reclaim all the ground, because that will happen in time. And if it's 20 years, 30 years down the road, it'll happen. And or if a tornado comes through or something destroys it beyond repair, and it's going to sit there. And the county's going to pay to clean it up, or somebody is, but it won't be the company that built it going down the road. So, like I say, I'm all about residential. I think every house should have.
I'd like to add one other thing. In our meetings with the solar companies, I ask them, how many hours in Linn County will solar work? And they tell me a little over 20%. So,
Say so they can hear it now.
I said, when we was meeting with the solar companies, I asked them in our commission meeting, how many hours, and I think there's 24 by times 365 days. I said, how many hours will solar work in Linn County? I said, you know, and the low 20%. You know, when I want to turn my light on, I want it to come on. I don't want to have to wait and see if it's going to come on. I want it to come on.
All right, Brandon.
I think the question was, how do you manage the conflict that the opposing sides really faced with this issue? And that's really, it's a tough issue. There are different opinions and very, very broad opinions based on where we should go. I served as chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission as we worked through these issues, both with wind and with solar. And there were a lot of contentious meetings that really people were on high emotions. And the thing that I am most proud of is at the end of those meetings, people on both sides of the aisle would come up to me. People that are for solar or against solar would come up to me and say, Rich, thank you for chairing this committee because you're fair. You're giving everybody a chance to speak, to raise the issues, and do it in a forum where it's safe to do that. And that's really what I'm most proud of. And that's, I think, what we have to do moving forward. We've got to find a way to give all our citizens a voice and be able to state an opinion on this very divisive issue.
Well, I think we need to have a conversation about this because there's aspects of this that have not been brought out. Last July, a resolution was signed and put into effect, and Planning and Zoning studied and researched laws and regulations were put in place to control the solar farms. And it was decided upon the acreage at that time. All three commissioners voted unanimously to put this into effect. And so Planning and Zoning went to work on it. Contracts were signed between large landowners and solar companies. Now the question is, this is not a yes or no question anymore. This is how we are going to obey what we have put in place through planning and zoning. How are we going to regulate the solar farms? How are we going to negotiate the solar farms? There's going to be heavy litigation, I'm afraid, if we completely renege on this after the moratorium is out of effect. We have landowners who want to be able to use their property, much like coal mining and other operations in the past. They want to be able to make revenue from their property. If you're asking what I will do, I will respect our county zoning laws, and I will respect our landowners' rights, and I will work very hard to negotiate and try to do my very best for our people to make it successful, whatever we decide to do. I feel like this has gone too far
Time, Vicki.
to be a yes or no answer. So I want you to be aware of the legal aspects that could occur that could be very heavy on our county.